Hello, good morning everyone, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Xar Talk Show. We are going to code Emacs Lisp today, of course, the most powerful editor and the most powerful programming language for processing text. So there's a news. There is a new native built-in JSON library. So in Emacs now you can you can export and import JSON data format. Okay, if you are here, say hi. If you are watching this offline, watch at 1.5 speed minimum. Okay, so there's new JSON library. So let me give you, so the functions are JSON Serialize. That is, you give it an argument of Lisp list or array or hash table, then it will create a JSON data format. It will spit out a string. So I'm gonna demo that. Then there's JSON insert that just that's like JSON Serialize, but also insert the text in the buffer. Then there's JSON parse string, which takes an argument of a JSON data format, then parse it. Okay. So let me show you what is a JSON data format. So if you don't know, you should know because it is the most popular JSON. Okay, so wait. Pop-up data, so where is my JSON file? JSON. Okay, so not see it there. So let's go to keyboard. I think did I remove it? Incredible. So search data.js. So okay, so yeah, so this is actually JSON. So JSON file format looks like that. Okay. Anyway, so you got this function JSON Serialize and JSON parse string and JSON parse buffer. Okay, so most important is Serialize and parse string. So they became native in Emacs 30. Okay, so I need to, I'm going to write a tutorial. Emacs blog. I'm gonna write a tutorial for that. So you go to Emacs and Emacs Lisp basics. So we're gonna write a tutorial for it. Okay. So these functions was new in Emacs 27. Okay, Emacs 27, that is from year 2020, so 5 years ago. And then in Emacs 30, 2025, this year, just released a few months ago, they made it native. So before, it depends on a C library. It depends on the existence of a C library. Now it doesn't need that anymore. So it's very good. Now, before that, there is a library for importing and exporting JSON, and that is written like 20 years ago. That is, do I have it here? No. So let me show you. Okay. So talk show. So what is this page? Emacs blog close talk show, and describe function JSON read string. Okay, so if you look up that function, you'll find the library that is json.el, which is written in 2016. 2006, beginning 2006. So this library, it's part of Emacs, is now basically obsolete because now you have built-in functions. So let's see, define. So here are the functions defined in library. I was using it, but I'm going to update my code to use the built-in. These are written in C, JSON Serialize. Okay, so that is the basics. So the news is that you got this new library and the native in Emacs Lisp. Okay. Then the rest of the show, I'm just gonna start to write the library for it. Okay. So let's see, define. I want to know, I need to find the function so that can lead people to find this library. So JSON read string, that's the one we want. read the JSON string at point, and no, not JSON read string. So wait, so define list JSON functions: JSON print, JSON read from string. That's the one. Read the JSON object contained in string. Yeah, so that's one of them. Copy it. Go to talk show. Yeah, so let's just put that there. Okay, so that is basically importing JSON, and also you got JSON read file. Okay, so put it there. Then you got okay, so let's go back. So JSON.el is the library. Okay, so open it, and this is the library. Okay, and let's see. Then what is the function to what is the other function? Check position. Okay, so if you have comments, hello, meet JSON print, JSON read file, JSON. So that's for import. What about export? So print, I suppose print pretty print buffer. Okay, so you got pretty print buffer. So this library is, even though we have these built-in functions, but I suppose this library is still useful sometimes because then you can because you have functions like pretty print. You can pretty format the JSON file. Okay, so anyway, let's close that. So make it that. Okay. So let's begin to write a tutorial. So so go to, and I'm gonna demo. Okay, so Emacs Lisp basics. Yeah. So copy the file path, paste the file path there, link it, and go to the file and search for hash table. Okay, so and here let's create a new import export import JSON. Okay, so yeah, let's put that there. So JSON. Then we're gonna basically copy. So we can do XAR clone file in link. Okay, so now you got the file cloned, paste it here. Let's rename this file. Right now it's a link, so open it. It's basically just a copy of that hash table page. Okay, now rename the file. Okay, so we want to rename Emacs Lisp JSON. Okay, yeah. Okay, so there's no conflicting files. So and add a title. My convention is you got this Emacs Lisp export import read import export JSON, or should it be read write JSON? I think read write JSON would be more intuitive. Okay, so JSON all capitalized. Okay, copy the file name. Actually, I mean copy the link text. Okay, so copy and make a link that jump to the string. Open it and rename the file JSON read file. Oh, we forgot Emacs Lisp. Okay. Okay, so you can see the file name got updated. You know, why do I want to clone? Because on each page you got several JavaScript files special just for that file. Some files don't have that. I mean, linked to JavaScript. So therefore, you can, you know, hover the mouse pointer to a function name. It'll pop up the inline documentation. That's why you want, you know, clone. For example, on keyboard pages, on trackball pages or keyboard pages, you don't have that, JavaScript. So it's a good idea to clone a file when you work on HTML. It's kind of similar to in Unix you have processes, what they call fork process. Okay, so anyway, so go back. Any comments? ACP, hello. Oh, your volume sounds higher. Thank you. Yeah, because you said that, then I looked into, I adjust things, so now it works. That's kind of tricky. It's an interesting question because so you go to systems, then you go to systems, then you go to sound somewhere. Okay, so sound, then you go to Windows sucks so much. It's very complex. Like you have the preference settings, then you have the control panel shit. Control panel, okay, for example, so this control panel is ancient, but now they got system settings, but however they didn't update the control panel, so now you got like two places, two versions. You got 100 ways to go to the same place. To set the sound, you need to use one, but some other configuration, you need to go to the other. Okay, so anyway, so you go to systems, system preference, system settings, then you go to sound, then you go to you go to sound control panel. Yeah, you need to go to control panel. Then you got this 20 years old Asian tiny claustrophobic fuck. Then you switch tab to go to the recording. Then you pick the item that is your microphone. Then you click on properties. Then you go to the tab of levels, and here is where you set the so-called input gain. Kind of silly, because they call it gain because each engineering or different field, they have like particular jargons. So they call this typically microphone gain, which you see there is a gain button there as well. So can you see? So you see. But anyway, that is the gain. Check. You don't want it to be too high though. So right now it might. So anyway, that's how you set up the microphone. So cancel, complex fuck. On the other digression, Google now banned uBlock origin. You see, now you cannot turn it on anymore. You see, today I just got it, like right now. So let me make a screenshot of this to make a recording of what happened, so that 10 years later you will know, oh, this is when Google did this. Okay, so what I want to do is control that. Okay, I got a screenshot. uBlock origin now is banned by Google because Google becomes so extremely scum and deep state. They do many things very nasty. Okay, so I try not. So I recommend, if you don't know, I recommend you use the Brave browser, or what's the other one? Don't use Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge. Okay, that's also very bad. Okay, don't use Google Chrome. I recommend use Brave. Okay, so Brave, it has blocking built in. So when you watch YouTube, there's no ads. I don't have any ads. Okay, so you guys donate. Okay, don't forget, you guys donate to me. Go to xali.info. I'm gonna repeat that later. So meanwhile, let me recommend. So you can use Brave browser. Also use Brave search. Okay, set your default search to Brave, and also and in fact these days I use Gwork.com. I highly recommend it. Okay, Gwork.com. You can for all your search or question needs in your life or coding needs. It answered tremendous amount of very technical programming stuff, in the past 2 years. Typically, you cannot find the answer even in Stack Overflow or, So anyway, so I recommend, and I do not recommend Firefox. They've been extremely evil as well. It's very much deep state tied. Okay, but so I recommend Brave, and I also recommend what's the other browser I can recommend. So what do you guys think? Something, anyway, I forgot. I have to look into. I don't have the link here. I have it installed, but I forgot what's the browser name. So anyway, let's go back to Emacs Lisp. Okay, JSON write file. So right now it's about hash table, so you need to delete them. Okay, so update the date, and okay, so that's today's date. This file is completely new. Add entry, remove entry, check. So I'm using XHTML mod, so that allows me the luxury. You see this paragraph, you see that's one HTML semantic unit. Okay, see, and this code paragraph, that's semantic unit. I press a key, it'll expand. I press a key, it expands to DD, which is definition, definition, and expand again. Okay, I already pressed some other key. So select, expand. So the entire definition list is selected. I can just press a key to delete it, or I can undo it. You see, undo, select again. You see, undo, or I can just put a cursor here, press a key. That entire thing is gone. So you can see all my commands is shown on the pink window there. Okay, XHTML mode. You have to pay me to get it, because for 10 years it's free. Nobody give you a fuck. Okay, so you see all these blank lines. Press a key, it's all gone. Now press a key. So showing browser. So now it's down to, you see, down to that. So delete that. This is related topics. I'll add it later. Okay, and data structure. Oh, okay. So let's add that here. Okay. So copy the file path, paste it, linkify, JSON read, JSON read, write. Okay, make a list, delete the URL, and delete that, and put it here. So it's related to data structure, list vector, because JSON is a data structure format. I mean data structure, data type. Okay, so now, showing browser. So now if you go to list, at the bottom you got the same data structure box, but there's no JSON. You see, now you go to vector, go to the bottom, there is no JSON. You need to add it. So let's add it. So press. Okay, it's all done. Press. Okay, now it's all done. Now go to the browser. You can see the command I called is XHTML update topic boxes. Okay, now watch here. Refresh. There is JSON. Go back to list. Go to the bottom. There is JSON. Fantastic. Go to JSON. So these related items allows you to easily navigate within a specialized topic. Okay, JSON read file, and what is this key value collection? So that box we don't need. That's, so, okay. So that, okay, so now let's open a new window. New huge giant box window, and let's make it this background color. Set background color to seashell. Fantastic. Okay, and let's go to talk show. Switch this one to talk show. So what is this? Showing browser list basics. Search for JSON. Did we have it? No, we need to make a change. So we need to remove this. Also, we got an extra space. Remove. Back here. refresh. Fantastic. Are you guys seeing what I seeing? Okay, so I'm gonna answer the questions in a bit. Okay, so JSON file, close that, and update the title. Okay, it's already good. Showing browser. Okay, let's switch to what is this, talk show. Okay, so this page is talk show, and I want to move the items here to my from my talk show page to the JSON page. Okay, let me show you how to do that. Okay, split the window. Go keyboard block, close. Go to talk show index, close. Go to JSON. So this is a JSON file. Now move the cursor to where I want it to be, there, and go to this talk show page. So you can see there's a section, or this bunch of things. Now go to the top, search for section. There. Okay, so select it. Now the entire section semantic unit is selected. Okay, now press that's the right key. XHTML move text to move text block. XHTML move text block. Okay, so now the entire section got moved. You see, now talk show is empty. Go to the JSON file, showing browser. Now the JSON file is populated. This is very useful. It is not the same as if you just like copy here, cut it and paste it. It's not the same because all the links get updated correctly, from one page to another. Because especially when whenever you have relative links in one directory and you want to move that text to another page, the relative links may change. So this function takes care of that. XA something XA something. Okay, so many commands. Okay. Anyway, so what is this page? So there's few more things I want to change. Okay, so Emacs Lisp JSON, copy it, close it, and let's just paste there. Okay, we are writing this on the fly. Okay, cut it back to Emacs JSON page, and what is this? Okay, read. Okay. So we are working on this now. This JSON data structure, paste it. Okay, showing browser. So let me clean up. Serialize. Okay, so these are new. So how do you read? So this is a tutorial to teach you about how to read. Okay, yeah. So actually I got one of that. So this is a reference. We need reference. Okay, reference. Okay, and capitalize it properly. Wait, yeah. So make it H2. Okay, and cut. Now split. Go to the bottom and put the reference section here. Okay. Now that's the reference. Now go to the top. Let's see. So this part about hash table, let me explain that later. Okay. So that goes to talk show. This is what we're gonna do. Import, export, right? The tutorial. Okay. And paste that. Join the list. Okay, undo, showing browser. You can see now join the list, wrong key, join the list, showing browser. Okay, that is the talk show. Now back to the JSON page. Now serial. Okay, so what I want is, so let's cut. Okay, now move back here on the top, show. Fantastic, getting better. Now this date section, let's remove the section. Okay, remove the date, remove the to do, and this format hash table. Let me explain that one. Okay, so I was format hash table. Okay, so let's copy that, go to the talk show, and let's paste it there. So I have a command called xar format hash table. So that allows you to print hash table line by line. Okay, so I was thinking maybe I should update it, just create another command that says xar print hash table. So you can print hash table line by line. Okay, so I was gonna do that. Then I was thinking, since we have JSON, export to JSON, serialize, so-called serialize, that's another idiotic jargon from the industrial coders, serialize. What does it mean? Basically, you want to turn a data structure, typically internal data structure into string, okay, into a text representable as a text. So that's what this jargon serialize mean. A very extreme idiotic jargon from the industrial coders. I don't know what's the origin of serialize, but I suppose that I blame it on the C++ idiots. Okay, it's always these idiots they create lots of bad jargons, inane jargons and concept in computer programming. Okay, they idiots. Serialize, the idiocy. The idiocy of the jargon. Okay, that jargon is used, I know, in Java. That's when I first heard of it, like 25 years ago. But I don't know how, where does it begin? So does anyone know the jargon serialize, when, was it in C or C++? Like, when did it become popular, or what, what? Let's ask Squawk, okay? What is the origin, oh, I don't have a brief, of the jargon, of the programming, okay, let's ask Guok. Guok.com. What is the origin of the programming jargon serialize? Let's see. Okay, you need to magnify. Control, scroll up. Okay. Am I good? Are you guys? Is interesting. So the programming jargon serialize comes from the concept of converting complex data structure or objects into a linear sequence of bytes or characters, which can be stored, transmitted, or reconstructed later. Okay, the term derives from the English word serial, meaning arranged in a series or sequence rooted in the Latin series. Okay, or row, chain, or sequence. Okay, origin and evolution. Early computing, 1960 to 70. The term emerged in computer science as data needed to be converted into a format suitable for storage or transmission over networks. For example, early databases and file systems require data to be written in a sequential serial form to save to disk or tape. That's right, tar, GNU tar. Still in use today, idiotic, from the Unix idiots. Okay, so 1960s, 70s, you need data to be in a linear format. Okay, then what? Then serialization in programming by the 1980s as object-oriented. That's the origin of the fuck. Object-oriented fuck. Okay, from the C++ idiots in Java. The worst paradigm in programming industry. Okay, so by the 1980s, as object-oriented programming and complex data structures became common, serialization referred to flattening objects like graph or trees into a stream of bytes. Okay, this allows data to be saved to files or sent across systems with deserialization as the reverse process to reconstruct the data. Okay, now I get it. So where does the serialization fucking in jargon came from? Came from the object-oriented fuckheads. Okay, these fucking idiots. Because they create these in-end jargons that's misleading because if you are a programmer, I suppose most of you, when you learn programming the first time, you started to learn, serialize. So for most people, professional programmers in the industry, they have no idea, serialization is natural word to them because they just know the meaning, you have to because, file and linear and it's a sequence, that's why serialization it's very natural, but it's actually a misleading, very idiotic, misleading concept. You don't want to think of data structure representation as like, one version of it is serialized, like sequential. Then another version is not. That's a fucking idiotic, misleading concept. Okay, that taints your brain. So what you want to think of instead is that you have a data structure, and you have internal representation. Bits like for bit didders. C or C++, whatever your language, Wolfram language, Mathematica, or functional Haskell, But anyway, for digital electronic computers, you have to have them in certain form, in electronic, in memory bits, and the bits and bytes. Then, but oftentimes you want to represent it to programmers visually. Okay, so data structures have internal representation forms and also textual forms. So the proper term to think of this serialization is textual representation. Okay, that is the proper way of thinking. Not the serialization this C++, Java industrial coding monkeys. Okay, that's their problem. Okay, that's a digression into this topic, and I suppose that's a good one. That's, I have lots of rants, so I explain to you guys what I'm thinking, I'm telling you, and you can judge, you can judge whether I'm correct or not. Okay, let's read some comments. So we started to write, so we actually, let's actually, we haven't demonstrated this yet. So how long has it? I've been talking for 30 minutes already, okay? So we haven't demonstrated that. There's an issue I want to resolve about what happens when you have a Unicode in the JSON string. But let me read the comments. Thank you for adjusting, Yuck. Yes, thank you, ACP, for alerting me of my live stream issues. Google sucks. Google is evil based. I already use Brave, and it will be very sad day when YouTube stops supporting. When YouTube stops supporting Brave. You know what YouTube did? When Microsoft 10 years ago came up with Microsoft Edge browser. Okay, let's digress. Okay, because this, I'm not sure that many interested. Let me talk about random topic because that usually is colorful and fun. So you see, you got this Microsoft Edge. Microsoft is very evil, of course. But anyway, Microsoft started the Edge browser, as a replacement for their Internet Explorer. That's another, history. So that is very good because they have entire new JavaScript engines, entire new HTML engines, everything is new. And it's very good, competitive to Google Chrome or Firefox. These three are the primary three browser engines. Google Chrome, which by now is called Blink, Blink engine. You got Firefox, which they have engine. They have, the engine changed, in the past 30 years. So then you got Microsoft. Then you got the Opera. Okay, Opera is also kind of evil by this was it Norwegian or these fuckheads, extreme Microsoft hater. That's who also created CSS. Okay, by what's his name? Harvagan, some Northern Europe, Scandinavia, some guy. Opera. By now it's kind of dead. Nobody even know what is Opera browser. It's still around though. Anyway, so Microsoft Edge, they started a brand new browser like 10 years ago, or was it 15 years ago? So extremely good, competitive. Then what Google started to do is they trick their websites like YouTube, like Google search, that because that's most people visit them. They trick it so that if you are using Microsoft Edge browser, it'll be slow or you got some problems. The formatting doesn't work. They trick it secretly. And then Microsoft, there's like very competitive. There are websites that compare, YouTube speed between browsers, JavaScript speed, So Microsoft Edge is number one. But all of a sudden now it's no longer true. Because the YouTube fucks, they trick their code to tremendous degree, like they, like for example, let's say, what Cortana, what the fuck Cortana? Suppose I, wait, I got Windows keys on. Okay, so suppose this line, I can trick it. I can like use JavaScript to join. Like well, let me show you. You can. So for example, let's add a span there. Like that. You can see the difference, but they are like these two looks the same, but actually the code becomes different. So that's what Google is doing, to YouTube code. So it fucks up, Microsoft. Then Microsoft tried to fix it, by reverse engineer. They try to find out what YouTube is doing, so they try to fix it. Then YouTube start to do another thing, they change again. So this kept going for a while. So that is how evil the Google Chrome is. Every time they do that, they pretend, oh, I'm sorry, by mistake, we didn't know. But it repeats year after year. So that's how scum they became. People don't know. So, search xardi.info, Google crimes. Okay, so there's an index of what Google has done, in the past 15 years or so since I started to write this. So you can see, so if we search for Edge, Microsoft, there it is. Google tricks YouTube to make Microsoft browser slower. Okay, 2018. It's a big giant chapter of history. Okay, but let me post the link here. Google crimes. Okay, and back to browser. Copy the link, paste it there, linkify, join those two li and cut that all here. Paste. Okay, showing browser. So we got a record of what we talked about. So back to Google. So how do I know this detail? Because they are Microsoft employees. They know. Because you are coding, you think, you work hard to get your browser to become the best, fastest. Then the next day it doesn't work anymore. Then you look into, Google is doing that, Imagine how much, hatred when that happens. Because Google is doing something nasty. You work your ass, to create the greatest, great engine parser, JavaScript, or that HTML engine. Then Google is like doing something nasty. And nobody knows, of course. You tell people like, oh, is there a proof? All these deep state things on Twitter, 1,000, influencers and bots, 1 million. So, but on Hacker News, you'll see this kind of insider info, they'll tell you. And of course, they got proofs, because this is not something you can hide. So this is one of the incident of what the Google fuck become the extreme scum is doing, and there's lots of others. So what happened? So it's very interesting, this incident. So Microsoft decided they're gonna they're gonna stop using their own engine, Edge browser engine. I forgot. Look up Wikipedia, you'll find out. So they stopped. They what's the word? They abandoned the entire fantastic browser engine. Then they just adopted Google Chrome's engine. Because Google supposedly open source. That's another story. Okay, the origin of the Chrome browser. It was from okay, it's been a while. What's the origin of Google Chrome's engine? It was from an open source one. Okay, I forgot which one. Open source by the Linux people. Then after 20 years, there's too many changes. So similar is for Apple. I believe they adopted Apple's Safari. So Apple Safari began about 20 years ago. They started the Safari browser by Steve Jobs. They borrowed the open source engine from the Linux what's the Linux desktop? KDE. I think, if I remember correctly, I have blogged somewhere long ago, 20 years ago or 20 years ago. So Safari started, Apple started browser Safari based on the open source engine from the Linux KDE one. I forgot the name exactly, I think. So anyway, Apple, then after several years, they became split apart because, corporations, their code usually not gonna be compatible with open source goals. Then Google Chrome started their browser. I believe originally is borrowed from Safari's code. Okay, you can look up, all these are in Wikipedia. Okay, so Safari browser. Okay, let's find out. Okay, Safari browser. What is this? Change not saved. Cancel. Are you still here? Yes, I'm still here. Where are you? Your chat will be deleted after 5 minutes. Okay. Why? Stupid. I want to save this. I don't want to delete. Okay. Okay, hold on. What is the origin of the programming jargon Serialize, actually? So let's just copy that. Okay. Now I have a record. Screenshot. Screenshot is great for record keeping. It doesn't prove much, but it's kind of essential anyway. So let's copy again. So anyway, now let's go to the Wikipedia. Let's see Safari. This is annoying. Safari browser. Okay, Safari browser. Then you got history, background history. Okay, blah blah blah. CyberDog. Yeah, I've used all the browsers, including CyberDog. This is 1997. and IE for the Mac, and so on. Background conception, Safari 1, WebKit, that's right, WebKit from KHTML. KHTML is a project from the KDE desktop, one of the two, actually the first one, the first original desktop for Linux, okay? Then the Richard Stallman gang created GNOME and they are anti-KDE because the, technicalities of the open source license, these open source scums, open source people and free software people, they are also scums. In corporations, they fight for money. But the open source, Richard Stallman, because they cannot fight for money because he based on his principle on morality. But they fight for power and fame, which is a form of money. Okay, so Richard Stallman created, and this is a long history, and they eventually they broke apart. They hate each other. The GNOME Foundation and the Richard Stallman, they hate each other. Long story, lots of complicated things. So the open source KDE created, KDE is the first Linux desktop, okay, which is then the Free Software Foundation sponsored or partly sponsored or kind of together. There's a GNOME was created, So GNOME and KDE are enemies to each other in the beginning. So this is 1999 or so. So KHTML is from KDE. That is where Safari got their engine in the beginning. So this is 2003. Okay. So now let's see Google Chrome. Okay, Chrome. So Safari. So Google Chrome. Okay. So Google Chrome. So let's open Google Chrome. I forgot. So let's check where is the engine came from. History of Google. Google Chrome. So they began in 2006. Okay. So where is it? Public release, okay, something, development, okay, something. So comments, Oliver, oh, hi, Oliver. So Oliver knows the story. KHTML, that's correct. Apple forked it, yes. To become WebKit, yes. And so what is the origin of Google Chrome? Yeah, so there's also a version on Googled Chromium. Yeah, I mean, yes, Chromium. I should probably switch to that. So what is the origin of Chrome engine? I forgot. I believe it's WebKit, right? So let's I can find out, of course, if I read it carefully. But let's search for WebKit. Oh yeah, so exactly. So it was originally stolen from Safari's engine, Google Chrome. We're gonna make a browser. So back in 2004, 2008, Google is still a pretty good company. They are one of the greatest actual moral open source corporation. Today, they are one of the most evil. In fact, if not the most, it should be the most evil scum, deep state, lying through their teeth. And so powerful, they are more powerful. Like they are more powerful than USA, kind of, actually. Lying through their teeth, especially what's happening in the past 2 years. I shall not talk about that. So deep state, so extremely bad. So Google Chrome began by taking Safari's code. Okay, so anyway. So then Microsoft started their Edge browser, which is their very good, Then Google fuck with it, by changing YouTube. Then Microsoft eventually, okay, let's just be practical, Google is gonna do that forever, of course. So let's just, we are just gonna use Google Chrome engine, so the same engine, you can't fuck it. Meanwhile, the Microsoft fuckheads, the Microsoft scum, so Microsoft Edge is a victim of Google. But of course, Microsoft is not good boys. They do whatever things they can fuck you as a user. They every time you click on something, they start Microsoft Edge, and I delete it. So you can delete the application. Let me show you. I was enthusiastic using it I used it for 6 months, but eventually it's just too just too much problem, so I delete it. Okay, so you go to applications, okay, apps, so you can find Microsoft Edge here. Microsoft Edge, okay, I delete it, then it came back magically, okay. And after a year or two, it is now impossible to delete it. Impossible, it won't, you see, uninstall button is is grayed out. The fucking scum. So all these are, just scums and versus scum in USA, in America. It wasn't so bad, this bad, but it became very bad in the past 10 or 20 years, especially the past 10. It became very bad. It's like these rich people, these rich mega elites, scum, they're all playing games. And you Zoomers know nothingness. Every day you are just, your brain is already washed clean by them since you were born. You go to, your phone, you go to the website, like, oh, Kasan, why don't you how come your website doesn't have HTTPS? It's not secure. You need to do that. Fucking idiots. Today's Zoomer generation, because they're, like including HTTPS. Google like forced you to do that. It became very bad gradually, and today, they automatically prevent people from visiting your site unless you go to one of their centralized control of the certificate. That's what they want to do. They want centralized control of the certificate. But you'll just say, oh, but HTML is invented to be free for all. It's for everyone, no censorship. So I don't have to use HTTPS because my website doesn't ask for credit card. But they're gonna do it anyway. So they're gonna say now, okay, they're gonna auto upgrade whatever website you use to the HTTPS version. And if your website doesn't have that, sure, your website is basically banned. So in this way, they magically banned like millions. You can ask, well, I asked it before, how many website doesn't have HTTPS? Like millions and millions. Magically ban those who doesn't register. Now it's like, now if you want to publish information, you have to register with their so-called free, let's encrypt. How sounds so nice. Let's encrypt, and it's free. These fuckheads. Okay, I think I talked for 1 hour. I think the JSON. So we were writing the JSON tutorial. I'm just gonna write it offline. Okay. Okay, my alarm clock is going off. iPad. Okay, that's it. Do you guys enjoyed the show? Now, this show is sponsored by you. Go to xali.info, like right here. Click xali.info and go to all the way to the bottom. And I ask you to donate. Now, the standard proclamation is that if you work in a job, you should pay $100. Okay, why not? Pay me once a year or something, $100. If you have a job. Otherwise, you can pay me $9, $6, whatever. So I can get a hamburger, the American white man's food. Thank you very much. Okay, you got Patreon, Amazon gift card, PayPal. Okay, let's read the comments, and I think that's it for today. Let's see. Tape drive. Suggest functions use instead serialize. Yeah, so textual output, text output, just output text or export text. Okay, that's what I recommend, not serialize. The thinking you want is that data structure has many representations. So typically in a programming language, you have internal representation of data structure, usually called objects, or blob. But even blobs can have many different representations in memory, in the memory cache, or on disk, But on the other, binary representation, even binary representation, there are many. For example, you can have native compiled Emacs Lisp, or you can have byte compiled Emacs Lisp. Similarly for Java, byte compiled or whatever. So what you want to know about the JSON so-called serialization, the proper concept is representation of the data structure. Okay, data structure is a concept in computer science, and in computer engineering, which is the practice of computer science, that's called computer engineering. That's what we are doing. Okay. So computer engineering, we have data structure, a practical thing, hash table, or called map, or dictionary, or array vector, depending on the language. So they have representations. As a binary blob, you even have different representations, or you have, textual representation. So the proper way, the thing to remember is representation. Okay, and this serialization just means textual representation. Okay, or another way of representation, textual representation. Yeah, I mean, even textual representation have different formats. So JSON is one of the format of textual representation, such that it is kind of universal for every different languages. Like we agreed by happenstance, every language agreed to recognize this particular specific textual format of data structure called JSON. Okay, but however, each language also have their own textual representation for list, for array, for hash table, or map, and they are different. Python's textual representation of a list or array is different from Lisp's representation of list or array. Similarly for Java and so on. Okay, so representation, that's the concept you want to understand, not the serialization. Fuck the C, fuck the object-oriented programming idiots, fuckheads. They create damage to the computing industry. Yes, ACP says, is it appropriate to call it a textual representation? Exactly. If the serialization function output non-printable characters. Yes, of course. Because even in a file system, I mean, even in files right now, we have non-printable characters. Like right now, this character, describe character, called the function describe character, and you can see that character my cursor was on is CJ, Control J, which is code point, ASCII code point 10, and also Unicode code point 10, or in octodecimal representation, or in hexadecimal textual representation. And what is this CJ, which has the name of old Unicode name for that character is called line feed. And the ASCII name for that character is called also line feed. Okay, so this what is this line feed? That's an invisible character. That is the end of line. You see, that's there, and you can show it by white space mod. Okay, I just changed the key, so let me in Softlight keys. Wait, so what is the key? Okay, backspace, yeah, okay, backspace and space. Okay, so backspace and space. So now you can see you made that invisible character visible. That's that's called line feed character, which is a control character, which normally is you cannot see it. And similarly is a tab. So let's insert a tab. Control Q tab. You see? Now tab is represented by a triangle because of my configuration. So that character is a tab. So how do I know? Called describe character. So you can see this is code 0.9, which is another invisible character. So close that. But if you don't show white space, control and space, how do I know? You don't know. It's invisible, it's invisible. And Unicode has like tens of it. So what if the serialization function output non-printable? That's acceptable, I mean, every text file got invisible characters. Okay, and sometimes, depending on what's the purpose, sometimes this tab is significant. For example, in Go language, let's show an example. Go. So here is a Go language code I talked about many times. Find and replace. Okay, Go language code. You can open it in the browser. You can get the code and run it. This is like grep. Okay, so this they got invisible characters there. Even the representation of source code require. Okay, notice require, not optional. Not, oh, I prefer space, I'll just use space. No. Well, actually, space actually works as well. But anyway, paste it and turn on white space. So you can see it's tabs. If you change it to space, if you change all these tab to space, let's say replace tab by space, okay. But when you call Go format, Golang change it back to tabs again, okay. So in Go language, they want this tab invisible character has special meaning. Anyway, and also for makefile, I believe the Unix idiots makefile, they require tabs. Have you heard of the new Ladybird browser? Oh yeah, I heard of it, and that they are under massive attack, I believe. So I believe Ladybird browser is the idea that, all this deep state, their browser is creating, is not good. We don't want this deep state complicated browser. Why Google Chrome, like the open source idiots, they will say, oh, just use Chromium, blah, 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 because open source, it removed Google's code. The fucking idiots, these Zoomer open source fanatical fuckheads. Okay, their brain has been washed. That's precisely what Google wants you to do. They want you to create this faction of people. First of all, you need to spend 10 years in computer engineering to understand what is, HTTP. And then, so they create this tiny faction of people like you guys, like us, okay? So this little group of people, they think, oh, we are the freedom fighters. We are anti the deep state. So, in this situation, you need to use this browser. In that situation, you need to, configure your DNS server, okay? This way we will win. This tiny fraction of people, like 1 in 10,000, 1 in a million in the population. So they brainwashed and created you guys, okay? And you guys are happy, like we're gonna do, you're gonna use Linux. So you have to use Linux. Go this and configure that, and you'll be good. No, no privacy, no privacy intrusion and stuff. So they create this little tiny fraction of people in population to make you feel good. You think you are a freedom fighter, but actually you are doing nothing. You are just diddling your ass, fuckheads. And my followers are this type, because I'm a nerd. My followers will just fight with me like Mo. They will fight with me every day. You are wrong. You are just wrong. So the whole society got censored and censored and censored. They don't, most people are not coders. But these little fuckheads, these open source fanatics, they are helping Google to create this situation. You should upgrade to HTTPS and whatnot. They don't see this evil, like when we talked about how Google is doing all these nasty things. Quite a lot. Google Gemini, AI technology. Please draw a pope. Oh yeah, sure. There you go. There's an image of pope. Please draw me a white knight. The medieval European white knight. Oh yeah, sure. Let me show it. This so that's one of the situation. There's lots of others, and in some cases the APM scam, that's a big one. They got sued. Okay, that's it for today. Now donate to me, okay? That's what I'm asking. Okay, that's it. Bye.